And we're live. Take it away, Roddy.
Wait, what? Oh, alrighty then. Hello. just on the spot me right here. All right, cool. Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles. All I'm going to say is we have podcast a-holes. And it just caught me straight up off guard too. So tonight, folks, we are having a grand old time and chronicling some comic books for the week. And as of always, we have with us the man behind the sound effects, the man in the shades, the level 13 shield agent. Well, okay, 17, whatever. Agent underscore 70.
What's up, everybody? There he goes.
And also with us, we have the person, the man, the person. Wait, what is going? We have the man in the Tron mask, in the Tron hat. We have the international sipper of water. We have we have
a man of many podcasts.
Exactly. Cultivator of pop culture and the network therein. PC and underscore dirt.
I really put you on the spot, didn't I?
You really did. You just recognize the flaw in with that happening.
Well, you know, you guys caught me unaware.
I would have had some of this already. You know, I would have had some of this already down. And
I was reading beforehand, and all of a sudden it's like, "Oh, you're not ready yet," and I'm like, "What?" Like I was wasting time waiting for you guys, and then suddenly you're ready to go.
And we still didn't figure out what first book. But before we get to that, I am your host, Roddy Cat. You can find me at Roddy Cat on Twitter and all the other things. You can also find me at News Nerds Need. You can also find me at CB Caps on Instagram and the newly formed cbcaps.tumblr.com. And of course, you can find my cohorts at agent underscore 70 on Twitter and Instagram, and PC and underscore dirt on Twitter, and also at Pop Culture Net on Twitter and Instagram at PC and underscore dirt, where he does Graham comic reviews. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. At Graham comic reviews, where he does comic reviews.
Occasionally. Not as much as I used to. Instagram.
Yeah, that's right. You didn't do any this week. That's true.
Yeah, no, Instagram is just not Vine. It's not working out. I got to find something else. It's just not not working.
Well, you know,
I don't know. Maybe I'll try something like Tout or something. I need that short, like 6-second window, 8-second window of doing.
Is Tout still around?
I think so.
Okay. Well, while we try to figure that out, who we don't have with us this week is our usual host, Tim DOWG98, who is off taking care of some personal business. So we do have this. Wait, what was that?
It was moaning and groaning.
Sounds like a dog whining to me.
You know, right? I'm like, whoa. But he will probably be back with us next week. But in the meantime, we shall converge and congress about this week's comics, starting with what we didn't figure out ahead of time. And I guess that would be, what did everybody read? Well, you gentlemen read Batman 23, so how about that?
Kind of an odd place to start because it's like the reason why I say this is because it's not completely tied in with the button and with the stuff that's upcoming. You know, it touches on it somewhat, but the best part about this was that it was the reunion of the creative team behind the Vision. No, not the Vision. The Punisher.
Sheriff of Babylon. No, that was Tom King. Yeah, that's Tom King.
Okay.
I was gonna say Sheriff of Babylon, but yeah.
Yeah.
Was it the Punisher?
But yeah, they did. No, that was Nathan Edmondson.
Ah, okay. Gotcha. So, Mr.
We
Rods.
do have news about them doing something, collaborating on something else, but we will talk about that later on when we get the news.
Right, so Mr. Rods makes an appearance over at DC doing the art on this book, and it is definitely a change of pace for Batman, but it's a welcome change of pace because of the unorthodox co-star in this book.
Actually, if you look at the credits, it's like script by Tom King, penciled, inked, colored, titles, credits, something else, Mitch Gerard's, and then someone else did the lettering, and then there's a bunch of editors.
Yeah.
So it's like all Mitch Gerard's needs to learn how to do is write scripts and do lettering, and he can edit his own books, and he'll just be the one man comic machine.
Sure.
You got to think that's probably coming. Hell, Manifold does it. Although I don't think he does lettering, but anyway.
Right.
All right, so talk about Batman.
So
yeah,
what I was getting at is that it's definitely out of the ordinary in the sense that it's not your everyday Batman team up issue. It actually revolves around Swamp Thing and his origin and his background because spoiler alert, I gotta ring the rechristened spoiler bell. Right. So basically, what the story revolves around is Swamp Thing recruiting Batman to hunt down the killer of a certain someone who is very close to Swamp Thing's moldy heart. So that's the gist of the story, and it's getting to that point where the creative team really gets to shine and show off a lot of moody scenes and just a lot of kind of cool little interactions between Bruce Wayne, Alfred, and Swamp Thing in like the last place you'd ever think you'd see Swamp Thing.
It's funny to me because there's a lot of humor sprinkled throughout the issue. Like it starts pretty dark,
sure,
and then it jumps into some humor, and especially there's a friendship between Bruce and Alec that gets played up really well in this book, and then you get to the ending, and the ending is really dark.
Yeah,
I mean, really, really dark. And it was one of those things that, like, I think if the ending had just happened without the humor in it, it wouldn't have had the same effect. But I think the humor kind of changes your expectation and changes your mood. Right. And then when you get to what the ending actually is, then you're freaked out a little more. You're just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I agree.
This is not at all where I thought the story was going.
And it's not where Batman thought it was going either. And that's really the key.
It was a fantastic issue.
I love the mood setting. I love the little sub chapters within the issue.
Yeah, there's it's broken into like 8 chapters or 7 chapters, something like that. So, but yeah, I mean, the dialogue was really good, spot on between the two characters as they were talking. There was a great piece of artwork in the book that's in Wayne Manor. And you've got Bruce sitting on one side and Alec sitting on the other, and you just see like giant bookcases, and there's the family photo of the Waynes, and then there's the photo from early on in Rebirth where it's Damian and Jason and Bruce and Dick and like everybody, and the dog I think is in the photo, and it's like hanging over the fireplace, and then there's like a photo of like his great grandfather. That showed up in one of the weird Grant Morrison crossovers from a couple of years ago. So it's like they gave it like this nice, like the artwork is beautiful, but then there's the nice atmosphere, but these tiny details that show that they've been paying attention to the stuff that came before in order to throw like these little Easter eggs in there.
Absolutely. And also the look on Ace the Bat Hound's face.
Yeah, he's got the surprised look when he sees Swamp Thing sitting there.
So, like you said, Dirt, I really like the twist, dark ending at the end of this. It definitely took me by surprise, based off of the how we had gotten to that point. So I enjoyed it for what it was. It did kind of require me to step back from what I remember happening in the last few issues of Batman, though. Like especially since Flash number 22 dropped this week.
Right, and it should have come out last week or the week before, so that did kind of throw off the pace of it a little bit.
Right, just a little bit. It's just that this isn't what I remember happening in the book. You know what I mean? Like it's a complete, not a 180, but it's definitely
although I think the argument could be made that what happens in the Button goes pretty deep and we can talk about this in a minute. We can jump over Flash, but what happens in the Button, there's a moment that's pretty deep to the core of who Bruce is and what he does.
Right.
And then this issue, it's almost like he's recovering from that and things are going back to normal, and then it ends and it's like, no, it's not normal. Like, this is so again dark and deep that it's like another hit on top of the pile when it gets to the end.
Right. Like the last few panels on the last page are the ones that really leave you wondering what is going to happen next.
Right. So maybe there's going to be a breakdown of Bruce Wayne happening here pretty soon.
Possibly. Although we have to admit, without spoiling everything, it was pretty sad. The ending of this particular short story involving Moldy Swamp Thing. That was tough.
Yeah, but a good book. Very well done.
Yeah, it was very well done. So if you want to jump right into Flash 22,
let's do it.
We can do that.
Okay. There it is, Flash 22.
Dun, 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 dun.
And I think there are two. I thought the story was really good, and there's a moment we'll talk about towards the end here in just a minute. But I think there are two big criticisms of this particular story or this particular issue of the story, and that is that, one, you can see right here on the cover that Jay Garrick is in it.
Yes.
And in fact, there's the variant cover, which is very obvious that Jay Garrick is in it.
Yes.
And yet the story is built around the idea like, oh, there's this mystery guy. There's somebody else. Who's this mystery person? And then he shows up and it's Jay Garrick. And it's like, dun, dun, dun. And you're sitting there going, okay, well, I mean, he's on the cover. Like, we knew this. And like, they told us this like 3 months ago or 4 months ago when they were hyping this storyline coming out. So it really wasn't any sort of surprise.
Right.
And then I'd say
it changes the lenticular cover. You know what I mean? Like, you flip it back and forth. It's just a modern rendition of Jay Garrick and an older one. So
right. Which is still an awesome cover, by the way. But the other big problem is that this story ends not as wrapping up this particular chapter, but as like, hey, this whole thing was a prelude to a story coming out in August. Make sure you come back for that one.
Right.
So, I mean, I understand why they do that and how they want to like tie things together and make people, because they knew this was going to be a big deal. Everybody's buying this. They've been hyping it forever. So yes, it's good to, plant those seeds that you're going to come back to later, except it was so blatantly done that you just feel like, okay, all I got was the prelude to a bigger event that's coming. And this one doesn't really cement anything. It doesn't change anything. You get some subtle nudges of characters kind of going in a different direction maybe, but for the most part, this ended just as a, hey, don't forget to see what happens down the line, and not so strong for this particular issue.
Agreed. I agree with that review, because I was pretty nonplussed by the entire book and the conclusion to the Button storyline, which started out with a bang and seemed to progress and definitely had a lot of promise. But this being the last issue of this particular crossover, it's a setup issue, obviously, so it's not going to end with a big bang and have a a big thrust to it. It does reveal what we all expected without spoiling it. It's been talked about for some time where this is leading, and in the news we're going to get to what is introduced at the end of this book. And also, like you were saying, Jay Garrick does appear, and something does happen to the character in this, but at the end of the day, that's pretty much all we get out of this. So I was I walked out of the store thinking, oh, this is a cool lenticular cover, and thinking, I don't know if it was worth the whole,
Like there's a Batman moment, and I mean, I guess we can talk about what happened previously in Batman 22, right before this, when he meets his father, Thomas, and Thomas just says, stop being Batman, like retire, like live a normal life, let other people take care of it. You don't have to throw your life away.
You don't have to do it for me. That's what he says, basically.
Right. And so this has a bit of a follow-up to that. There is a moment that deals with the fallout from that towards the end of the book, which again plays into, I think, a little bit with what's happening in the current issue of Batman with Swamp Thing, and how it almost feels like things start to go back to normal in his life, and he's not obsessing as much on the events of his father yelling at him. But then the end of Batman is so dark that maybe it is going to throw him off in the long run. So we do see that does follow through into this story, and we get a very interesting moment with that towards the end of the book. But that's really the only thing that feels like it permanently changed that came out of this book that's going to have any sort of deeper meaning, going on in the
going forward, right?
Yeah.
So on the YouTube chat, we have Jean Paul Ace Peter, who says, "Beautiful cover, man, amazing stuff." And gets to talk about the Flash cover that you got up. And from our Tim, his notes say that the Button finale was fine enough, I guess. Most intrigued with the Batman ramifications. Jay Garrick return is opposite of Wally West in DC Universe Rebirth. And I know there are people that get super excited when Jay Garrick comes back. So was it, you think this would appease them enough?
Well, I mean, it is just an appearance. I think the one neat Easter egg thing about it is that when they drew the close up of his face, he looked like John Wesley Shipp, the actor who played the Jay Garrick version of Flash on the new TV show and played Flash in the old '90s TV show. So that was a nice little wink and nod as far as that goes to those fans. But the character appearing here, it's not a substantial appearance, really. I don't think it hints that there's something more out there to come, but it's not really happening in this story.
There you go.
Gotcha.
Alrighty.
Well, that being the case, let us move on to, anybody got anything else they want to do? Because I can.
Well, I think the other big book.
Since we're still on DC.
Oh well, okay. If we want to
some
DC.
stuff. Yeah.
I was gonna say, because the other big book was a Marvel book.
Right.
It's true.
I'm out of DC.
Well, in that case, let me get to a couple since we're on DC. In fact, Tim and I both read Teen Titans number 8. And he says, part 2 of Lazarus Contract, Deathstroke comes across somewhat relatable, even after tricking, kidnapping Teen Titans Wally West. Both teams of Titans meet for the first time, which I thought the same thing too, but I was like, wait, this can't be the first time. That seems weird. But it was I enjoyed reading the book. It definitely made a little more sense after that last one, even though it really didn't say too much more than what the last book's motivations for why Deathstroke is doing what he's doing. But it definitely did make Deathstroke a little bit more relatable, even though he just straight up kidnapped the dude. And but we also figure out why he did it, because at the end we see what that goes into. The Titans, both sets of Titans teams meeting went as you would expect it, and I kind of had in my notes, heroes are their own worst enemy, because like these two teams get together and they almost start a fight. You know, and Damien's kind of a creeper, but you know, Damien is who he is. You know, Dick's still apparently holding on to his Grayson days because you know this is all kind of coming about because of partially because of a secret pact, that he made with Deathstroke or something a while ago, which they didn't seem, unless I missed something, they didn't seem like they made that totally clear. But you know, there's a thing, you know, right? But there was also something I did not know because I hadn't really been reading The Flash or what have you. But apparently, Kid Flash's father was Reverse Flash at one point, and I was like, wait a minute, when did that happen? And you could also see in this issue, there's like a, you know, you see a panel with Wally just kind of thinking to himself, but on the wall you see a shadow of him kind of looking like Reverse Flash type of situation. So I'm hoping that's not foreshadowing anything.
Okay.
But outside of that, you know, it was a pretty good read, I thought. You know, this whole miniseries is kind of just trucking along, and I'm thinking it ends next with Deathstroke next. Is it next week?
Deathstroke is this week, or next week.
Next week. Yeah, I'm about to say, I don't remember.
It is next week, but I don't remember if it's just 3 parts. I was thinking it was 6 parts.
I'm not sure, because I know they kept saying, you know, the only ones they've mentioned were these 3 parts, like the Titans, T-Titan, and then Deathstroke, but I hadn't seen anything further than that, which would make sense because it's like, wait, if it ends if it ends with Deathstroke, then that's short.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like that's long enough for...
Exactly.
It's not enough for a trade. Come on, guys.
Exactly.
But I guess if you consider the fact that the original Judas contract was what, 3 issues? So... But I don't know. But like I said, it was cool. I mean, you do get to see a part where I'm going to assume they're going to bring back up where Tempest and Jackson kind of talk because Tempest is asking Jackson, was like, where are you from? Like, man, I don't know himself. I came to the Titans, you know, to find that out. And because Tempest seems to think that he's Atlantean, which obviously we know from, you know, from Aqualad's original origins that he is. This version just doesn't know it. So I'm assuming that's going to go into something at some point. But yeah. And I guess while I'm here, did he read this?
Well, there's his click of the week.
Yeah, no, we'll save that one for that point. No, he didn't read it. Okay, so I'm going to bring up Trinity number 9 real quick. This starts a new arc, Dead Space Part 1, as it says, and had me immediately thinking of the video game of the same name. And it kind of is not that far off from what I know of the game, except for it's not really, though. So basically, in the beginning, we have the Trinity sitting in a cave from the last arc. It's talking about some things that happened in the last arc. You know, Superman's like, what if it was all real? I mean, you know, it all seems so real. You know, Bruce is like, yeah, it wasn't real, and you know, all of the, you know, Bruce being Bruce, and then Diana's just trying to talk him down, and then a boom tube shows up, and because they go into the cave and find some carvings that was apparently done in a dream sequence, but it actually isn't, and then somebody else from that arc shows up. Then they cut to the boom tube, and they end up on the Watchtower, which has seen better days because there is this something happened to where somebody blew a hole into the ship, or something blew a hole in it, and Cyborg apparently sent a boom tube to various members of the League to help patch things up. there's an alien infestation going on, which takes over a couple of members of the League, and there's a Nimrod-looking person at the end of the book that seems to have something to do with it, but maybe actually trying to fight it. But his way of fighting, and as you can see in the shadow above the Trinity there, that's who it is. Not sure who that is, because I don't think it's anybody who's been established before. But outside of that, I still enjoy this book. There was a nice Hall of Justice reference made in it, and I was like, all right, I appreciate that. Manipul's art is as great as it was. If you follow the CB Caps Instagram, you will see a panel that I posted on that. That's really nice. You know, and again, like we said earlier, you know, Manipul writes the book and does the art for it, and does a pretty great job with it for what it is. I would argue that probably more people need to read this book, and I'm not saying it's in trouble or anything, but I've been enjoying it so far, and that's just my personal opinion on it.
Oh, it's up to issue number 9. I think it got further than I thought it would.
Yeah, it's in my read pile. I just haven't had time. Like here, this I'm just going to show you. This right here is my current reading pile of stuff to get through.
Nice.
So
looks like my free comic book day pile almost.
I've got a few issues to catch up on. It's in the pile. It's right there.
Now, I'm not going to say it like it's kind of it kind of reads like a side story, because you know, and obviously most, you know.
You mean like an out of continuity story?
No. It is still continuity. It's just like, oh, this is like obviously the side adventures of these 3 characters away from the League, but still as a team.
Gotcha. All right.
So there is that.
All right, so I guess it's time to deal with the elephant in the room, Secret Empire #2, the big book out from Marvel this week.
Sure, go for it.
So everyone's going to talk about what happens on the last page, and I like Tim's notes on this. So our very own at TimDog98 read this book and left us his thoughts. Everyone's going to be talking about the last page reveal, as I just mentioned, but the book is also filled with personal moments between the resistance fighters and the exploration of the moral dilemma of killing or to kill or not to kill Hydra Cap. I definitely enjoyed this book. It definitely had a very moody feel to it because of the art by Andrea Sorrentino, which is the majority, let's say like 90% of this book is Sorrentino's art, and it definitely provides the mood, which is dark, which is the life of the resistance and trying to live in Hydra, in America taken over by Hydra. So, in the aftermath of the attack on Las Vegas and the aftermath of the attack on New York, where we basically explore what life is like under Hydra rule, and we also find out the big reveal is that there are that a bunch of the resistance heroes find out from spoiler bell, sort of, because he did die last issue, but just in case you're a little bit behind, we find out from one Rick Jones, who left behind essentially a last will and testament, and also what he had found out about how Kobik had changed Steve Rogers, and basically he let the resistance heroes in on that secret, and that's where some of the dilemma comes in, because I think a lot of the heroes are dead set on trying to redeem and save Steve Rogers, while some are just saying, it's time to take him out. So that's what's explored in this issue. And the spoiler at the last page, the last sequence, actually, it's done by a different artist. It has a definitely different feel to it, and it's purposeful, because immediately once you see that the art changed, you're trying to figure out, well, what's the artist doing? And then you get to the last page, and if you were unspoiled like I was, it definitely hit you for a loop, even though you suspected this might be an option in terms of how the story resolves itself. But it still knocks you for a loop, and it's a good, it's a good twist as long as you weren't spoiled by the internet leading up to the book.
So, do you think that the change in artist is because this was a late change in the story, or were they trying to hide it from the person who was working on the book?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think that they wanted to have a different look to it. To be honest, that was the sense I got. They wanted to have a different look to the reveal page.
I feel like there was a reason
to be more superheroic. To be honest,
I feel like there's a reason to believe that they hid it, not just from like pretty much from everybody, but I can't say if that was actually true or not.
You think they suspected that the main artist was a leaker, that he would leak the?
Well, no, I don't think it had anything to do with the artist per se.
Is that what it was?
I don't think it had anything to do with the artist, because I mean they have done this kind of stuff.
I mean,
before, it was like, so it has nothing to do with the artist. I don't think. If that's the case, that's some funny shit. But I think they probably did it just to kind of keep it, or it's like one of those things like maybe they had like two different versions of the ending. So just in case it did get out there, then no one actually knows which one was the real one.
I kind of feel it was like maybe a last minute change, like they had something else there and they go, you know what, we need to do something different here than what we had planned, and they grabbed someone else, said, hey, draw this real quick, let's throw it.
That's always also possible also.
Yeah, that's definitely possible, but
like I said, we don't.
Possible or probable?
I say possible, not probable.
Yeah, I'm going possible myself, but I don't know, I have a distinct feeling that we will probably find that out fairly soon.
Sure.
Because now that it's out there, and although the stories about that tend to come out around it, or at least some of them anyway.
Sure.
But that being the case, if we are finished with that, we want to get to the tie-ins.
Sure. By all means.
Okay, that was what I was wondering.
I didn't read any of them, so this is you.
So that's all me. Great. All right. So okay, so here's my question. So Secret Number 2 takes place after Hydra's already taken over. Is that correct?
Yes. It's the aftermath.
Sure. All right. So that being the case, I forgot which one was. Oh, U.S.Avengers, number 6. This takes place around the time that the shield gets in place around the Earth. In fact, I believe we actually see, or was the shield? See, that's the part. See, okay, so a little behind the scenes. I have not really been keeping up with Secret Empire all that closely, so some of this stuff is going to be kind of lost as the timeline.
The sequence, maybe.
So, You're
confused about the sequence, maybe?
Yes and no. Okay. So anyway, U.S.Avengers, we see Cannonball come home from Shi'ar space into this big ass battle with the Chitauri and the Ultimates and Guardians and everybody else who's out in space, including the new Quasar. Which this part was kind of weird because it's like, okay, Cannonball comes in, he gets out, starts doing the hero thing. He tries to help out Quasar, and they both seemingly get blown up by a Chitauri, one of the big Chitauri carrier ships. Then the rest of the issue is Roberto trying to figure out whether he's alive now, because he did actually talk to Sam before that went down. But also, what seems to be in parallel to Revenge of the Sith, machinations start going into place, because basically Roberto's still on the helicarrier carrier with that team, with the U.S.Avengers, in a hold pattern, because they know about what's going on in space, but Hydra Cap told them not to go and to stay there. But once Roberto starts to, once Roberto finds out that Sam could be possibly dead, they decided they want to go ahead and go. And then Steve happens to pop up and be like, no, hey, you said chill here, because what if everybody gets through? And then he mentions, hey, they signed the order that pretty much gives Cap, he's the head of the country, basically. So he's got supreme executive rights, to which surprises Roberto. And then the shield goes up also. And then HydroCap pretty much executes Order 66, where a lot of the the AIM agents have to deal with, because apparently, and I think I've talked about this before, so all of AIM has gone through some version of Professor X's mental training to keep from getting hypnotized or whatever, or taking mind controlled. Apparently one of them didn't, because while that goes on, because they're dealing with the fact that they might be being mind controlled, somebody possibly comes in and takes out Roberto. The Hulk gets messed with, given some stuff that messes with his transformation, or more important, gets him under control. And then there's this big start of a battle on Washington D.C. soil. That is at the end of the book. So it seems, like I said, in a Revenge of the Sith / Return of the Jedi compilation, we see some things that seem kind of familiar to Star Wars fans. I'll put it that way. That is that. And we go into, which is actually does come after this. Oh yeah, and there was a nice Power Pack and Annihilation of 50 Cent reference in that book that I appreciated, whether they were intentional or not.
Okay.
Let's see. Ultimates 2 number 7 is the next one, which actually does come after U.S.Avengers number 6 in a way, because this deals with the battle out in space with the Chitauri trying to come in. The shield is in place, but they mentioned that the shield fails and that Alpha Flight and everybody has to defend the Earth. But miraculously, the shield comes back on. But Carol gets the sense that there was nothing wrong with the shield. Steve just took it down and then brought it back up to kind of lull for some reason. Then there was a battle with the Chitauri, and then this is after we found out that Quasar and Cannonball might be dead, but we don't know. Then we see the Ultimates kind of wallowing, and Carol's like, well, I should have known better, and talking about the shield placement and that's not the other. And then there's a talk about a secret mission that America's on. Come to find out, she's trying to find Galactus to help bring down the shield, which doesn't go quite as planned. And then Monica herself is trying to take down the shield in a move that is reminiscent of the Leviathan, which I was hoping that didn't play out the same way, and it didn't, thankfully. If anyone knows about that storyline.
Sure, that's where she initially loses her powers as Captain Marvel. As that version of Captain Marvel. I wanted to touch on one thing. I did not read this. I was just skimming it, and I went straight to the credits page at the end of the book, and I noticed that
the art is different.
Very, very, very different.
It is noticeable. Now, I don't think it's enough that it take you completely off, but it is a distinctive change.
Definitely.
I will say that. But yeah, like I say, America's looking for Galactus, who's pretty much chilling in Molecule Man's Rumpus room, and and it also knows about the shield.
Okay.
But he's basically not going to help, because he just shows America this TV where they see Captain Marvel talking about the shield, and that is whether it's strong enough to hold back Galactus. And he's like, nah, you guys are on your own, because this is y'all's thing. And I need to feel, before everything that happened, I would have probably been able to help you guys, but this is your thing, so you're on your own, and I need to recoup. So the end of the story, I mean, the end of the book kind of ends with the rest of the team finding out that Galactus is not going to help them, and another wave of Chitauri coming in, and they're pretty much on their own. And that's that.
All righty. Okay, so I think we're starting to get into rapid fire territory now, because we've had gone through a number of books now. So I think we should get into a little bit of rapid fire just to get things moving along. So it is rapid fire review time.
Well, let's go through a couple of Tim's books then, that being the case. And first off, we have Invincible Iron Man #7. Tim says Riri decides what her career path would be: full ride to MIT, join the Champions, or work in Tony Stark's personal lab. She also, this is strange, faces off and loses to Will of the Wisp, which is a name I hadn't heard in a while.
All right. So Tim also read Royals #3. I like this book a lot. It actually seems to me like it branched into a territory we really haven't learned about before, which is, well, Tim's quickie notes are basically the last Inhuman is revealed. We kind of knew who it was. But plus, we also learn how Black Bolt and Maximus's powers came to be and how they react to and interact with one another. And that to me was, so much fun to read in this, because it definitely expands upon what we understood to be how, one, how they're related, and two, this is definitely Al Ewing adding in a lot of different wrinkles into the relationship between the two.
Is it a Scott and Alex situation?
It's similar. It's a play on that. It's definitely a play on that. So it's definitely a fun read. It's only issue #3, so I definitely think that if you're looking for something a little bit different, you can catch up on this pretty quickly. And it's a different ride, because obviously who you think is in the crew of the Inhuman spaceship in issue 1 is not exactly who's there in issue 2 and 3.
Okay. We'll skip that one, and we'll go to Mighty Thor #19. Tim says, Shia Asgard Ward finale. Odin's son joins the battle, but it's the power of the new Thor with the help of Quentin Quire that forces the Phoenix Force away.
I was kind of disappointed in this issue, to be honest. There's a great interaction between Jane Foster Thor and the Phoenix Force, and the Phoenix Force is portrayed in a much different light, in a much different way than it ever has been before, and that definitely proved to be the most compelling part of the story. But I felt like this was a pretty drawn out end to the Asgard Shi'ar war as it is, and we basically, come back to them being, kind of settling things the old-fashioned way over mead, and things get, things sort of revert back to normal. There is a little bit of a change in the status quo of Jane Foster in this, in terms of her duties as part of the Congress of Realms, and we move forward with the return of an old school Thor villain who is the last page reveal, and we move from there. But for me, overall, this was not the most exciting ending to this little mini story arc. I honestly think that the most compelling panel in this is finally Jane Foster and the Odin son coming together. And what's implied is that they're going to sit down and have a nice long talk about what's going on with Mjolnir. So I'm looking forward to that. That could be like an entire issue, to be honest, between the two of them trying to figure out what's happened. So, but that's a kind of a cool little tease in this issue.
All right. Then X-Men Gold #4.
You read this, right?
I did.
Right. Well, Tim says Gambit is back. Fun issue with very nice dialogue between the team.
Sure.
Okay. Thanks, dude. That's
insightful commentary there, sir.
You know,
this is what you get on this show. I mean, this is a quality that we deliver.
I'm kind of looking forward. Well, not this looking forward to, but I was curious to read this book because I have been reading the last couple, and the fact that Gambit's coming back, it was like, well, this absolutely the 90s all over again.
See, I've never been a big fan of Gambit, so I mean, I like.
What is wrong with Gambit?
I don't like hate the character, but he just really doesn't do anything for me. He just takes up space.
Oh man!
I mean, he had a couple of great, issues in the Jim Lee X-Men where they were exploring his background. Remember when they crossed over with Ghost Rider? Back in the day?
Do not, but
you vaguely remember that? Oh my goodness.
Anyway, it was okay. Like I said, Gambit really doesn't do much for me, but I mean, he could be in there, he could not be in there. It really doesn't make a difference. So that didn't add like any sort of great enjoyment to the story. I thought the basic story overall, Gambit is tasked with stealing something, which he does, and it turns out that I'm trying to decide how much I want to spoil here.
Ring the bell.
No, because I won't do it. I won't do it.
All right. I was about to rewind it and then hit the bell.
But he has to steal something, and of course, the something he steals is something that could be very dangerous in the wrong person's hands. And it turns out the person that he's stealing it for is the wrong person's hands to have it. So then he tries to get it back, but in the process of trying to get it back, or at least get it away from that person, he makes things worse. And so in order to try to stop things from getting worse, he tries to blow something up. And in blowing something up, he causes the worst possible outcome, which is why he has to call on the X-Men. And so it's kind of like this perfect storm of like just he's apparently the biggest idiot in the Marvel universe and makes the dumbest decisions because he did something wrong, did something wrong, did something wrong, did something wrong. And so the end of the book actually ends with a new evolved form of something that the X-Men don't like. And I'd like, again, I'm trying not to spoil it, but it just,
I think you've said enough.
it was too much of, we had to do this, 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 to get them to have a reason to come together,
Gotcha.
It just wasn't the greatest way of bringing them together. And there's a subplot that gets brought up in the beginning of the book with Old Man Logan and I want to say it was Storm. Old Man Logan and Storm. And there's a murder, and so they're checking on the murder, and apparently this murder is connected to some other murders, and then it goes away. And there's like 2 pages, like right in the middle of this story about these murders and them investigating the murders, and then it never goes back to them again.
Yeah, it's never going to come show up again.
I'm sure it'll come back at some point, but it doesn't tie into the story here, so it's just a filler thing to just waste a couple pages so that they can come back to something in the next issue or the next issue after, So it just felt inorganic the way it was put right in the middle of the story, and the story itself felt very inorganic the way they had to jumble all this stuff together just to make a reason for Gambit to reach out to the X-Men. So it was fine. It wasn't terrible. There was nothing really wrong with it, but it wasn't great. I didn't finish reading it and be like, yeah, X-Men, I got to read more of these. It was just like, okay, it was there. It's a book. You can read it. It exists. And that's the end.
Right.
Alrighty then.
Okay.
Last on Tim's list, which I've read right before we started, Luke Cage #1. I
read that too.
All right, cool. Yeah.
And I got one of the hip hop covers for this week. It's right here.
I didn't. Yeah, the Method Man 2000 cover.
Yep.
Cal 2000, excuse me. I didn't get that cover, sadly. But Tim says, was fine enough. Love Blake Nelson the second's art with Marcio Menz's colors. And I would agree with that. It was all right. Like I basically kind of skimmed through it. It's basically Luke finds out that the guy who gave him his powers has died, and there seems to be some family things going on, or potentially some family things going on with Dr. Bernstein's family.
Right. Definitely, it's purposefully reminiscent of the Netflix show.
True.
There's a lot of elements in here that are meant to invoke elements of the Netflix show. So there is a definite purpose to this relaunch or this launch of Luke Cage #1.
I like how there was a character in there, and I don't know if this was the character's name or if Luke just called him that name, Big Worm.
Yes. yes.
I was like, all right, Friday reference, nice. But yeah, it was okay. Like from what I skimmed through it.
Alrighty, so
let's see. So let's see what else we got. What else you guys got?
How about Nick Fury?
Oh yeah, yes.
I'll just number 2 on that, Dirt.
I liked it.
Nice.
So did I. I think you would too, Agent 70.
All right.
So the first issue was definitely very trippy. Yes. And filled with a lot of very unusual artwork.
This one's kind of no different.
Yeah, this one is pretty much the same. It's got that same kind of crazy vibe to it. Weird artwork. It's definitely. It took me a while to really kind of get the aesthetic that it's going for. But if you think back to James Bond movies and spy movies in general of the mid to late 60s, and the way that they were trying to be like beyond future tech, if that makes sense. So like James Bond would have a video screen in his car that he could do video chats with people, but it looked like you had a tiny film projector, like in the dashboard projecting film onto the screen, but it's trying to think ahead. And that's what this book, like it finally hit me that that's the thing it's trying to do. Like we all know that comics always deal with a somewhat futuristic, Iron Man armor doesn't exist, but you look at the idea of it and you think in a way it's possible, maybe it could. Whereas this book, because it's the spy side of Nick Fury and he doesn't fight gangsters, he fights gangsters on the moon. He's not fighting
not just gangsters, the Yakuza.
Yeah, but the Yakuza on the moon. And they've got cameras, and he wants to disrupt the cameras, so he sprays the special diamond dust. But of course, it's not diamond dust. These little pieces of dust are these tiny like polyhedron nanite electro swarm cloud thing that can change its properties, and it's like just beyond the future tech. It's that one step beyond what we normally know in the Marvel universe is the tech. And so it just adds that fun next level element to the story. And I gotta say also, another crazy thing in this book is when you go into the store and you look at toys, and trust me, this tangent will tie back somewhere.
Anytime we open up the Comic Chronicles toy corner, right?
So there's always Batman figures, and they run out of ideas for Batman. So you've got Batman, and then you'll have like nighttime Batman, and it's all black, and then they'll do snow Batman, and it's all white, and then they do hang glider Batman, and he's got yellow stripes, all that weird kind of stuff. So Nick Fury, they've gone that direction, and so instead of just Nick Fury in his regular shield suit, now we get this orange future spacesuit Nick Fury with the red eye patch.
Yes.
To denote that he is the different version of Nick Fury there. So they're adding like all this fun, technically pointless, but super fun stuff that they're weaving into this book and throwing in the background. And the story is one of those where like it ends on a cheat, but it ends on the same type of cheat that again you get from like the James Bond movies and some of those other things where at the last moment you find out that something wasn't what you thought it was, and it was actually a double cross and a swerve and a dun type situation. But it's done tongue-in-cheek and with a lot of fun and with some fantastic artwork. And it's just like I just love this book. Like there's so many things to like about this book that I just find myself, especially when I'm done reading it, like I'll read through it and I find myself stopping to look at the artwork and having to tell myself, no, continue reading with the story. You can go back at the end and take a better look at the artwork. But, you know, try to focus, because it is something, the artwork is so good. The story is so much fun. I just have a blast reading this.
Nice. I appreciate the recommendation.
Yeah, I agree with everything Dirk just said about it. And that, I felt like there was a slightly anime quality to
and definitely because you're dealing with the Yakuza on the moon. In their secret base.
Not even just that, but just like what you were saying with like Fury in a suit and, you know, the very future tech and everything. And just there was especially when we first see like the cloud of nanites or whatever and didn't know it at the time, like all of that just seems like there's a very anime quality to all of that, even down to Fury's eye patch, which reminds me of a specific anime. Like this is a good book. And James Robson, you know, who does this kind of stuff pretty well. Like, and I think we said the last time we talked about Nick Fury that, you know, he's done some James Bond books before, and you know, and his other books that we've recommended, with especially with like Invaders, even though that one kind of took a lapse after a while, and I enjoyed Scarlet Witch also. So he's, you know, he's good at what he does with this kind of stuff.
All righty.
What else do we got to next? I still got a couple myself, actually. So Justice League Power Rangers number 4. The Rangers and the Justice League find a way to get back to the Power Rangers homeworld using the LHC. When they get there, they decided, hey, they need to find out where, one, they were thinking to interrupt Brainiac taking up Angel Grove, but they decided not to, because if they did that, then bad things would happen. So then they decide to invade Brainiac's ship to try to find Angel Grove and to get all the back end to get the powers back. So they concoct this plan, and the plan goes all right up until they hit a snag near the end. The Rangers, being powerless at the beginning of the issue, end up getting weapons that seem similar, thanks to Batman stocking up the Javelin with a bunch of weapons that look similar to the weapons they would normally carry, funnily enough, that they carry into battle. And also, for some odd reason, has, and this is another thing I'll probably end up, I know I will definitely put on CB Cap's Instagram, but they are dressed up in the costumes of various, I guess, friends and enemies of the League. Like Tommy has Lex Luthor's battle armor on for some reason. Trini has on Katana's garb.
Leftovers.
Yeah, I guess so. Then like trophies. Matter of fact, I think they did say, yeah, Batman did say, it was like, well, I took the stuff from our trophy room before we left, so this might help you. But anyway, so they go into the battle with that, so they're not completely powerless. Then they get their power coins and stuff back while Superman is a distraction. But then, like I said, they hit a snag and run into some issues.
All right.
Let's see. Mask number 6. So after last issue's victory, Matt's like, okay, something else is going on, and we need to start thinking bigger. So we need more people on the team. So he goes to see Dr. Mindbender, who's apparently in this heavily guarded area.
Oh, the stupid IDW Hasbro. Oh.
So he's going in there talking to Dr. Mindbender, who's pretty much knows about what's kind of going on. And while he doesn't say so right off the bat, but well, he does say so right off the bat, but he kind of leaves it into it that he knows why Matt's there. So he opens up some files to let Matt look at some stuff about some old teammates, aka the people who went to end up joining Venom, and their backgrounds. So, and that opens up a lot of memories of like the first issue, and memories around there, trying to get a better understanding of who he needs to, how he needs to get better about picking teams and this and that, other, and getting to know the team makers and trying to pick them out. But pretty much the rest of the story ends up being pretty much profiles of the Venom team, and it sounds like the next issue is going to be going into the origin of Venom. So I don't know if this is like some filler arc or something, but this is pretty much what it is.
All right.
And one book left. And I know Dirt said he was going to read this, so I won't say too much about it. But Star Trek: The Next Generation, Mirror Broken #1. So Dirt and I are both fans of Star Trek and the Mirror universe in this. I would say Mirror Picard is looking quite buff in this one. I would love to see a live action version of Mirror Version Quick, because I don't remember if they did too many in Mirror universe in Next Generation. Did they? Like I remember there might have been one, but I don't remember.
I mean, they definitely did parallel universes, but I'm trying to think and they've done it a ton of times in the comics before this.
Right.
But I'm trying to think in the actual episodes of the show,
because they've done Mirror Universe episodes in pretty much every series.
Yeah, they did in Deep Space Nine, but I remember that being a big deal, and I think it was such a big deal they did on Deep Space Nine because it wasn't on Next Generation, I want to say. But one thing I want to point out real quick is that this was a free comic book day book. Like if you got the free comic book day of this, then you get like a background, the sampler of what's going on. And I really wanted to read this. I just didn't have time before we did the show, but it's definitely in my reading pile of stuff to get to.
Although I will say this, that the stuff that happens in the free comic book day stuff does not show up here. So it's not a direct, like they didn't just preview this issue directly.
Oh, that was brand new material?
Yeah, it seems like it. Because like I said, none of that stuff was in here.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, like I said, it was a pretty good lead into it. As a matter of fact, you probably did well to read that before you did it. There's nothing that's directly tied to it, but you see some things from that book kind of play out in here. So it was worth reading that free comic book, which that stuff, if you haven't seen it or had a chance to get to it, should be on Comixology at some point soon. It usually takes a little bit, but either way. But that being said,
which, by the way, I'm looking online real quick at Memory Alpha, and
oh yes, okay,
and it says it was in the original series Mirror Universe, then Deep Space Nine, Through the Looking Glass, crossover, Shattered Mirror, Resurrection, and the Emperor's New Cloak. So it was a whole bunch in Deep Space Nine. It was also in Enterprise in A Mirror Darkly. But it was not in the Next Generation on TV.
Okay, that's weird, but I don't remember seeing one, because the closest thing I can remember is when Yesterday's Enterprise, and that wasn't that was basically, like you said, a parallel timeline. So that being the case, that's weird, but I would love to see a Next Generation Mirror Universe story, because this one like doesn't do anything overly crazy,
or at least not yet.
Not yet, especially. But it looks like it's breaking down to be a familiar story, let's say, or a familiar type of story, let's say. But what this sets up is something I would definitely want to see more of. And I think this mini is only like 5 issues or 6. I think it's 6.
6. That's a trade.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the difference here is that every time before when we've seen the Mirror Universe, it's been because there's been some sort of crossover with people from the Prime Universe showing up in the Mirror Universe. Right. And so it's like they react to everything being weird, and they talk to the alternate version of themselves and like, oh gosh, this is crazy. Whereas this time, this is just a story in the Mirror Universe.
But but in the setting up of it, they do mention the fact that that's how things started. I will say that.
Well, yeah, because I mean, of course, the original series had the transporter malfunction that set up the whole thing in the first place, where they swap places. But not having done an episode on Next Generation, we never had, you know, an iconic moment of Picard and evil bearded Picard, you know, facing off. So this time,
evil gunned up Picard at that.
Yeah, he is ready for the gun show, isn't he?
Yeah, like if you've seen the CB Caps Instagram, I did a couple of panels and put that on there because you see kind of bulked up Picard, but he still kind of acts like Picard. That's the thing of, like, he's not overly aggressive, but at the same time, he still there's a ruthlessness kind of to him. A quiet ruthlessness you can kind of see.
He reminds me of and of course now I can't think of the guy's name, but the actor who won the Academy Award for being like the music instructor. He's playing J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
Simmons. Yeah. When he started working out and getting real buff, and you see those photos of him with the big arms. Yeah, that's exactly.
He was working out for whatchamacallit, for Commissioner Gordon.
Well, I believe that's the case.
What he said in the interview was there was the TV show he was on set in the prison, and he was
Oz.
In Oz, and he was the leader of the Aryan nation. And he said,
that was after that.
No, he said when he watched that on TV, he saw himself as this fat, pudgy old man who's supposed to be the leader of these badass guys in prison, and he realized how terrible he looked, and so he just decided he was going to work out and he was never going to look terrible again. So he
got ripped. So but you're mentioning that totally. Oh man, he could totally do well, I guess if there was a way to get Patrick Stewart's likeness on him like that, then that would totally work out.
Well, they would just have Simmons like doing the evil Picard, like standing in his place, and then they'll do like the Tron Legacy thing where they take Picard's face and just put it on top of that body. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I will say, so in closing, I will definitely say, if you're a fan of Star Trek, The Next Generation, and Mirror Universes, I would say give this book a shot. Like I say, it sets up what seems to be a pretty interesting story set in that universe, I think. But it's also going to be a fairly familiar one, kinda.
All right.
And I believe that does it for us for rapid fire.
Yeah, I think I've got a couple of books, and I think Doug's got a couple of books to finish.
Well, I was gonna say, doesn't Tim have a click of the week too?
Well, yeah, but when we get to that part, we're still doing.
Yeah, we're still doing rapid fire just to finish up. It seems like we all read a lot of books. That's why I kicked.
Hurry up, Dave! Hurry up!
I will. Agent _70 will.
Agent _70, hurry up! It's supposed to be rapid. They're supposed to be rapid. You got to.
So, very quickly, Daredevil number 20. We get to the finale of this Purple Man story, which is the reveal of how the genie has been put back into the bottle. Matt Murdock's secret identity is back as a secret. If you're interested in that, take a look at this book. Also, there's a lot of great moody art by Ron Garney in this. Generation X number 1 is a nice little reboot to kind of a cult book from the 90s. Generation X had a great premise to it. When Chris Bacalo was on this with Scott Lobdell for a long time in the early run, it was pretty good, but it kind of faded. Yes, that is. Thank you for highlighting the other hip hop cover out this week.
The Sri Raman cover.
Yeah, for Generation X number 1. This is a nice little reboot and a setting for the new status quo for the rechristened Xavier School. It's no longer the Jean Grey School. It is back to being the Xavier School. But it's actually,
wish they set that in gold though. So
right, and it's actually got another twist to what their mission is. See, I think that covers.
I'm surprised Tim didn't have it in his list. But I guess he didn't get a chance to get to it.
Yeah, listen, he had a lot of books on his list. He probably just, this was probably
next. But I know he was also one of the ones that was kind of waiting for this book to come about. So
right, I'll be curious to hear what he has to say. Hopefully he has a chance tonight to join us, or if not, he'll let us know next week what he thinks of the book.
Yep.
And that covers mine.
Okay, then
Sure, you got one left.
If you got anything else.
I do.
Okay.
Oh, wait, yes. Superman. I forgot about that. Yes.
Good job.
Nice.
Good job.
Okay, so we've learned that there's some sort of horrible, evil something hiding in Hamilton County that's been taking over the people, and in trying to investigate this, Jonathan has disappeared, and he's been abducted by somebody. Damien's disappeared. Bruce Wayne has disappeared. Superman goes out to try to find him. He disappears. So Lois Lane is trying to track them down. She was the focus of the last issue. In this issue, we see the focus shift back to Jonathan, where he's been abducted. He's being held, and you're watching as everybody's fighting, trying to get free from whatever this Black Dawn terror is that's taking over. And there's this tantalizing clue that the people in the town, they say that they're taking over in an attempt to save everybody and get them ready for the evil that's actually to come. So whatever secret machinations have been going on, they claim it's whatever this alien force, this alien entity is, it's to stop some greater threat that's on the horizon. And the issue ends with the return of a character from an older storyline. I forget what the original storyline was called, but they turned it into an animated movie. If you saw Superman versus the Elite, the animated movie, it's a character from that storyline makes a return at the end of this issue. So he was I'd say he was a fan favorite character. He definitely was one of those characters that people were drawn to. People who were drawn to him very strongly. It's kind of a Hellblazer, I guess you could draw a comparison, where it's not a top-selling book, but the people who buy the book are people who are dedicated to that character. This is a similar character from an old Action Comic storyline returning here. So definitely rebirth. One of the things that they've done is pull up these old threads and old storylines and characters, and they're retreading them here in the DC universe as winks and nods and shout outs to fans of those old storylines. And this one is indeed yet another one of that. So definitely people who've been reading Superman for a long time, you're going to recognize what's going on at the end of the book. Now, whether or not this guy, however, is the threat, the previous threat mentioned, or if he's part of the whole resistance, building, we don't know that. We don't know, which side he's on in this whole ordeal. But definitely, there's been a lot more going on than we've been told.
All right. So, clicks of the week time.
Click, 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 click.
Mine actually, I was going to say a different book when I started, but then now that I think about it, I'm going to have to go. I really kind of wanted to pick Nick Fury. It was really close, but I am going to have to go with Batman.
Okay.
Batman 23, as we talked about it, there is a lot more going on there, I think, than just appears on the surface. But Nick Fury is a whole lot of fun, and I highly recommend that one as well.
That's awesome.
I was kind of hoping you were going to pick Nick Fury because I would have almost gone along with you on that one.
It's so close. Like, it's so close. I want to, but, it's just... It's 8.5 of one and 8 3/4 of the other.
8 to 70?
Honestly, a close second is Royals number 3, but I think I'm going to pick, because I went into it unspoiled, and I just like the way the second issue was executed. It's actually the third issue, counting the 0, which is Secret Empire number 2. That's my click of the week this week.
All right, so we have cried.
Well, Tim, did we do Tim's?
Yes, go ahead and do. No, we haven't done Tim, so go ahead and do that one real quick.
All right. So at TimDog98's click of the week for this week is Super Sons number 4, where Robin and Superboy, with help from Lex Luthor, take on Kid Amazo. It's a great fun issue Tim loved the witty dialogue between the two young heroes.
And that leaves me. And Light Dirt, I'm kind of torn because that Nick Fury was really good. And also at the same time, the other standout would probably be Star Trek: The Next Generation, Mirror Broken. You know what? I am actually going to go with Nick Fury. I'm going to do it.
Nice.
Because I enjoyed that a good bit.
Yeah, I can totally respect that.
Yeah, and like I said, just like I said earlier, if you are a fan of Next Generation and or the Mirror universe they're in, I would say go check that Star Trek book. It's really good, or it is good for what you it's what you would want it to be. Put it that way, in that universe.
Cool. All right, so we've got our clicks of the weekend. Let's transition to an ad before we get to the news. Exactly. Let me tell you about Skull Candy. Skull Candy makes the best headphones, earbuds, and gaming headsets, all with lifetime warranties. Skull Candy produces many types of audio accessories, including headphones, sports earbuds, Xbox and PlayStation gaming headsets, DJ headphones, iPod and MP3 headphones. And now, for the listeners of the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles, Skull Candy offers free standard shipping on your order. To help keep our podcast free, order from Skull Candy by going to cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link. Click on the Skull Candy banner and then shop for high-quality audio accessories with free standard shipping. Skull Candy Audio through cspn.us. Do it today. And now we lead into the news.
So a little behind the scenes here. I was not only stalling because of trying to get my click of the week, but I was also trying to set up news. So, and I also wanted to point this out real quick because I probably won't do it later, but Dirt will understand.
What do you mean I'll understand?
This, I love that. This too shall pass. Nice. All right, first up, and I guess we shall tag team this as we do.
Are you still trying to figure out what's so good about the fidget spinners? Is that what it is?
You know, it's grown on me as I've been sitting here the last couple of days. The kids, of course, have been playing with them nonstop, and I'm like, I don't get it. But then I find myself sitting here, and for the last half hour, I've been sitting here, spinning this thing around. So it's like, okay, well.
But even as kids, like it's always the simplest things that always gets us.
Sure.
So, and what could be more simple than that? So, news: Luke Cage actor confirms Shade's return for season 2. So we now know Theo Rossi will return as Shades in Luke Cage season 2.
All right. More Luke Cage news. Mike Coulter expects the season 2 to hit by early 2018, which is not that far away anymore.
Nope. Not even. Let's see. Next up, Adam Warlock will not be in Infinity War. I guess I dare say this would probably be a slight spoiler for Guardians, so I apologize about that. But I think this is news we all kind of know about.
Sure.
But yeah, we saw some remnants of that in Guardians, and since he's not going to be in Infinity War, I'm assuming he's going to be in that next one.
Right. The continuation, the part 2.
Well, yeah, the former part 2 of Infinity War.
Right.
So we'll see where that goes.
Right. Okay. So ABC, as part of the announcements of the fall slate of television shows this week, announced that Inhumans has been rescheduled to Friday evenings, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has been pushed back to 2018. And I guess what's going to happen is that once the limited Inhumans episode run ends, that's when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to take over that time slot.
That is correct. And I guess since I don't think I put it in here, I will just go ahead and tap bet in and say that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. got a season 5.
Right.
That news is also out. Next up, sad news. Powers Booth, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Marvel's Avengers, and Sin City, and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
Actor dies at 68.
Yeah.
The weird thing, well, I want to say funny, but death is not funny. But the weird thing about this is seeing the different takes on his passing, because there are some people that are some sites that are like, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. starred, Powers Booth, or Sin City Powers Booth, or actor known for playing Doctor, like it's just amazing what movies people choose to, associate with him.
Yeah, he did so many amazing things. That
exactly.
He was one of those actors who were like, oh, I've seen that guy before in
exactly
X number of movies or television shows.
Yeah. So rest in peace. Yeah. Let's see. Next.
So Carl Urban could return for Judge Dredd TV series. Okay, good for him.
I mean, he's kind of busy, but hey, good for him.
I'd watch that series.
I think I probably would too. I'm not sure. And going by what that last TV thing he did, well, I say last one I saw, Almost Human, and not having seen Dredd, which I heard he was all right in, I would probably watch it.
Oh, you have not seen Dredd?
I have not seen Dredd. No.
Oh, you do yourself a favor.
All right. Yeah, I definitely will though, because like I heard he was all right in it.
If you can watch it in 3D, even better.
No, unfortunately, I can't do that. Yeah, my eyes won't let me. Anywho, Power Rangers actor Ludi Lin joins the cast of Aquaman. I'm not sure if it doesn't say as what. Oh, yes, it does. He is confirmed to be playing the role of Merc, who apparently is the leader of the frontline army of Atlantis, known as the Men of War.
Does he have a mouth?
I don't know. I have no idea about that character.
I have Merc with a mouth. That's a Deadpool joke. Come on.
Top pop pow.
Oh.
Very. You know what? There we go. All right.
Anyway,
you got next?
Yeah. So Image Comics' Wayward has been optioned for television. Good for them.
Mm-hmm.
Does it say what network?
I don't think it does. No,
doesn't look like it.
Yeah, which we rarely ever get that now. But I was gonna do a quick rant on that, but I'm not, because we all heard it. It's official. Krypton coming to Sci-Fi or Sci-Fi, if you so choose, in 2018. So,
has it really been languishing in various stages of pre-production since 2014?
I mean, yeah, and
we've been talking about that for that long. My gosh!
Well, yeah, remember it was supposed to be on TNT first, and then it they slowed down from talking about it, and then it popped back up on Sci-Fi.
Yeah, but various stages. I mean, that's a very open
term.
Right.
It just seems like we've been talking about it for a long time. I didn't realize it'd been since 2014.
Kind of has, yeah. Like I said, they stopped talking about it for a minute, and then all of a sudden they brought it back up. But
gotcha.
Hey, Dirt.
Hey, what?
Hellboy, Rise of the Blood Queen promo art spotted at cons of all places.
Ooh.
So at the Cannes Film Festival, which is on right now.
So yeah, hot off the press of Hellboy getting the R rating. As we found out last week, we found out that the name of the movie is called Rise of the Blood Queen, and as you can see, here is the poster that was at
I'm gonna have to buy that poster.
Magnolia art, which fans of the show know that Dirt is a big fan of.
Oh, that is pretty.
It is a good looking poster. I would definitely say that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
that is cool.
Next.
All righty. So Fox, I guess, tested New Yorkers for the mutant gene as part of promotion for the Gifted television show.
If that's not a throwback. Did you see any of these fans sitting around?
I did. I did not. I also missed the live pop-up show that Linkin Park did in Grand Central Station of all places.
I mean, you're probably thankful for that one, but
I don't know about that because it's just something cool that happens in New York. It's just
yeah, but it's also Linkin Park.
To each their own.
To be fair, Linkin Park has had some decent stuff. So I'm like, just.
But I happened to
10
see
years ago.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, a lot of the stuff that we like is, you can say the same thing,
Yeah. I mean, hey, that album with Jay-Z was pretty cool. Next up, first Star Trek Discovery photo reveals some old school tech. I am actually generally more excited about this now because one, I love me some Michelle Yeoh, and seeing her in pretty much anything is great. So getting this shot of her and Sonequa Martin Green, which reminds me of, was it Enterprise?
Yeah, and I'm not.
Well, I'm saying because they did something in the desert, and I know like Deep Space Nine had some like desert,
I'm just not sold on the show. It's like part of the reason why I like Deep Space Nine so much is that it wasn't people on a ship exploring new worlds.
Right.
So there was a completely different feel to it. And then they did Voyager, which was people on a ship in deep space meeting new aliens. And then they did Enterprise, which was we're going to go back in time and put people on a ship and have them go into deep space. And
but they were in an uncharted sector.
Yeah, but
that wasn't as enticing. I mean, they also had a female captain, so that was another twist on that.
Yeah, but that's not enough of a twist. I mean, it's like you're doing the same show, just you're mixing up the crew. You're just changing the cast, but it's the same story,
Right, but at the time, that was pretty, important. Now that we've already had a Janeway, it's interesting to see what direction they're going to try to take Discovery in.
Yeah, and we've seen a couple on, and this one's kind of more focused on Sonequa Martin Green's character as the first officer. So,
So,
and I think there's something about. Well, anyway, they were talking about how the episodes are going to be.
But I was just going to say, Star Trek Discovery, it's expanded to 15 episodes and will feature a companion after show. Is going to be talking Star Trek Discovery.
Star Trek, right.
Covering Discovery.
Discovering Star Trek. There you go.
Oh, gosh.
And it'll probably be
hosted by the same dude.
Yeah.
Chris, what's his face?
Chris Hardwick.
Chris Hardwick, thank you. Right, although it doesn't say that here, so we don't know. And I would imagine he has probably a contract with AMC, yeah. But still not above him. Anyway, or it's probably somebody in the Nerdist network. Regardless, that's the thing, because talking after shows are hot right now. Black Lightning, not a part of the Arrowverse. Mid-season premiere confirmed. Why is it not a part of the Arrowverse?
So what should be a part of?
It's its own separate thing.
Oh,
I don't.
It's on CW.
I know. Like it's there. Like you just go ahead and hook the boat in.
Put them together. Yes. Yeah. Oh.
What if he's on Supergirl's world,
which is still a part of the Arrowverse at this point?
But it's not the same planet. It's a parallel universe.
Still connected.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it can still be connected and be on the parallel universe. It's not like he's going to show up on Arrow like every week or whatever. But we'll do the crossover. It'll happen.
I guess. And finally, in cinematic, Supernatural is crossing over with Scooby-Doo next season.
Because after 13 seasons, they run out of shit to do. No, stop.
Really?
They're trying to do what the annuals have been doing at DC, those specials where.
Man, we didn't talk about that. The June ones, we'll get to that though. Have you seen the
Oh yeah.
Yes. You know what? Let's talk about that right now. So I mean, this is not in the news or anything. But we've already had a set of annuals with DC characters and Hanna-Barbera characters crossing over. And in fact, I did get a screenshot of that, but I don't think I have time to put it up because we need to go keep it moving. But I am kind of excited for the Batman Elmer Fudd one. I don't know why.
Let's see. There's Jonah Hex and
here, I'll pull it up.
Yosemite Sam.
Yes.
I'll be looking forward to that one. Let's see. Actually, is it in
there was the Bugs Bunny League of Superheroes one.
Legion of Superheroes.
Legion of Superheroes one, yeah.
Yeah, here it is. Wonder Woman, Tasmanian Devil, Lobo and Runner, and Martian Manhunter and Marvin the Martian.
Which, I mean, that's just synergy right there.
I mean, like, duh. Like, you know. But yeah, the Jonah Hex Yosemite Sam, I think that one's... and it's funny because that one is actually done by Jimmy Palmiotti and Mark Texiera, who worked together doing Jonah Hex stuff. So that is going to be a legit Jonah Hex comic with Yosemite Sam in it. Which, I mean...
So here's the...
That's money. That's money. That's money out of my pocket. Is exactly
really?
What that is. I will be buying those.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. But anyway, like I said, that's coming in June.
That's much more exciting than Suicide Squad and Banana Splits.
You know, I never did get around to reading that one.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. The other ones were cool. So now we're getting to comic book news. And let me pull this back up again.
Comic books. Yay.
Yes. So we have Tom King and Mr. Rod's attempt to escape the absurdity of 2017 and hit a new Mr. Miracle book. So we saw this on Twitter being announced by, I believe it was Tom King. Somebody, one of them did it a few days ago. But now I guess we're getting a little more insight on what that comic book is, because this is an interview with Tom King about that. Now, we are all fans of the Vision book that Tom King did. And wait, was that Mr. Eyes also, or was that somebody else?
No. They worked together on Sheriff of Babylon, and they did the Batman issue this week.
Right. So we're thinking, we're expecting some similar, like Mr. Miracle is not exactly a household name, one, and I can't say he's a compelling character, but that's just personal.
Actually, if you go back to Justice League, the old Justice League series that just ended before Rebirth, go back to issue, I want to say it's like 46 through 50. They did that whole story arc that was on Apocalypse, and Mr. Miracle was a big part of that. And that actually, reading that story made me want to go back and read the old Mr. Miracle series. So, yeah. So actually, I'm looking forward to this a lot.
Oh, that's right. He also did. Tom King also did Omega Man, which I remember reading a little bit of that. That was all right. Next up, you want this one, or you want me to get it?
All right, I'll scroll down to it. Ta-Nehisi Coates' Black Panther and the Crew comic has been canceled.
Boo! Didn't get a chance to live, and that sucks.
Ooh. Oh yeah, I just cut it off. There it is.
My sentiment exactly. I will not go back on my various other rants and other places about this. Just to say that it is a sad thing, indeed.
Yep.
DC Comics' Jeff Johns reveals teaser details on Watchmen/Rebirth title Doomsday Clock. This was another thing that
we were referring to this earlier.
Exactly. Are we excited about this? Yay, nay?
Oh, I am definitely for sure.
He is. Yeah.
I mean, I've loved
even a wait and see type thing.
I've loved the Rebirth stuff. I've loved the Flashpoint stuff. You know, I love all the Crisis on Infinite Earths, all that type of stuff. You know, anytime you get those parallel universes blending together in some sort of crises, those are the types of stories I always like. I mean, that's what the big story that drew me into comics was one of the Crisis stories in Justice League and All-Star Squadron when they did a crossover in the early 80s. So, I mean, that's really what that drew me to comics. So I love when they do this type of stuff. And Jeff Johns is one of those guys to do it. He was, you know, the key force behind revamping Green Lantern, and growing it from just being a guy with a ring to the whole emotional spectrum, and, you know, redoing the history and building all that stuff. And he did the the Rebirth special. He was the driving force behind that. He's done a lot of the big crossovers for DC, so he's definitely the guy to handle that type of book. And also, they've pushed it out kind of far. I don't think it's coming until August, I think they said. But Gary Frank is going to be doing all the artwork. And he's a obviously phenomenal artist. I love watching his stuff. So they've given him plenty of time to start ahead and work on the book. And so yeah, this is a project that's going to be one of the key things on my radar as we get into the fall.
November.
Oh, November.
Yeah, it's a long ways away.
Oh, it's right there on the picture, November.
Yeah.
So.
Nah, I just saw that. So yeah, something to look forward to.
All right.
So
So we have some Lego news coming. Lego
we have video game news.
Yeah, Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 is set for November release. I guess this is the time for November news.
Yeah, all right. Also, I'll double up on these two because they're pretty much the same or similar things. But Marvel Heroes Omega coming to PS4 soon. Trophies revealed. Now, for those that know, Marvel Heroes Omega, it is the console version of Marvel Heroes, which has been on the PC for quite some time now. It has been in closed beta on the PS4 for probably good 2-3 weeks now. This is basically saying that it's going to go live, launch live. Well, excuse me, it's going to an open beta on the 23rd. Yes, on the PlayStation 4. It is also, and on the 19th, they're going to do a head start for people. Like, I already been playing the closed beta, and it plays like Marvel Heroes, just on the console. But if you are not on the PS4 and you're on the Xbox side of things, it is coming to the Xbox One on June 20th. And I do not believe, or at least I haven't seen anything where they're saying they're doing a beta of any sort and they're just straight up launching it, which would probably make sense considering consoles are so similar outside of like back-end structure that one, they could probably get away with it. And I believe this is a small team kind of working on it. So,
is this an MMO?
It is an MMO. That is correct. It is in the style of Diablo, if you have ever played that.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, I know it actually works pretty well. Like I said, the game's been around since 2012, and I have been playing it.
Although I guess, what was the old PC game that looked like Jack Kirby artwork?
Yeah,
because that was in a similar style.
So I will say this: there was the old Marvel Ultimate Alliance games. That is kind of this game is the spiritual successor of, if you've ever played that.
Yeah, I want to say the game was called Freedom Force.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, it was a turn-based. Yeah, it was a turn-based game. Now I remember what you're talking about, and that game's still around because they got it on GOG. But yes, that is a similar type of game. Except, well, it's not a similar game because that's turn-based, and this is more of an action, like I said, a direct control kind of Diablo style game. It's pretty good if you've ever got a chance to try it, which you will soon if you own either one of the consoles or if you're on PS4 right now.
All right, so I've got the next.
Wait, before you get to that one, I want to put out Injustice 2 just came out for consoles, and that game is pretty good. So Injustice 2 is the follow-up to Injustice: God Among Us video game. It's a fighting game from the guys who make Mortal Kombat.
NetherRealm.
Yes, that is correct.
So sometime soon, Agent _70 is going to be getting a PS4. Sometime soon.
Yes. And Injustice would be a good game for that because the game's even the story, like I think I said this other day, which is not that hard to do, but this is probably what Batman Superman should have been. But you can say that about the first game.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. I have the first game. I played the first game on the PS3. That's good. So,
So check that out. And the mobile version is also out. So if you're into that, and they hook together because you get stuff going from one way to the other. Okay, now let's get to this next one.
All right, so Superman and Wonder Woman's DCU romance is no longer in continuity. So are you telling me that my issue of Justice League signed by Jim Lee with them on the cover smooching is worth nothing now, or is it worth a lot more?
So if you're keeping track, this is the very much definition of a retcon.
Yeah, for real.
Well, this is because Superman currently in the DC universe is not the same one who had this relationship.
Right.
That Superman died and was replaced by mixed up Pixelic.
That's easy for you
that's
to say.
right,
yeah, dude. That whole thing it revealed the split of the Superman. So when Superman came back and was restored to the timeline, then the history of the Superman who had been in all of the New 52, anything that didn't fit with Superman marrying Lois and having Jonathan, all of that stuff was wiped out.
Right.
Which, yeah, okay, sure, I guess.
All right.
Moving right along, Marvel's Secret Empire has revealed its big secret.
Right, this is what we would not spoil earlier.
Yeah, we kind of talk about this. We can kind of move it along.
All right, so DC Comics announces Jack Kirby Centennial one-shots.
That's cool.
In August is the 100th birthday of Jack King Kirby, and DC is going to honor his legacy with a series of one-shots inspired by his most famous heroes, villains, and super teams. Very cool.
And if you're watching the video, I am pulling them up as we speak or scrolling through them.
That is cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cool Omega effect.
I know, I like that. All right, next up, the first Green Lantern revealed, and it's not who you think it is. For some strange reason, I did not read this. But yeah, apparently that's something in Green Lantern Corps, and sure.
Okay. Okay.
Like, is anybody here reading Green Lantern? We'll probably tell.
I'm reading the Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps, but I don't read Green Lanterns.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. Is that I think amongst the panel, I think it's the core book, not the book that follows Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz is the one. You know, I don't think anyone on the panel is following that particular book.
Gotcha. Okay.
All righty. So I guess that wraps up the news, right?
No. Oh, actually, that's right. You don't see that one. So there is something else I wanted to bring up from the variant corner, and that is Lions Forge reveals interconnecting variants for Superb #1 and Incidentals #1, which both are upcoming books for those for their Catalyst Prime universe.
Okay, I see it.
Yeah, which I didn't know about Incidentals.
Variant corner on the sheet. That's why I was like, where? We still have more.
Sometimes I will put actual variant news in there, and sometimes I'll just throw it into the comic section, so it varies. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, these are they, and Incidentals I did not know too much about, but we talked about Superb last week, I believe. But yeah, like I said, all that's coming out, and they're blowing it out. So that almost in the news, but here's something I just saw though. I wanted to bring this up, and this is not necessarily comic news per se, but
it's the toy corner.
Yeah,
we revisit the Comic Book Chronicles toy corner. We got to come
pretty much. And NECA shines LED light on the first image of new Jungle Demon Predator figure.
Right. So for those of you who are able to watch the YouTube show or the live stream, KLIQ Nation /live, KLIQNation.com/live, you can see what we're looking at here on our screens, which is some really awesome imagery of this new action figure.
What if Swamp Thing was a predator?
Are we done then with that? Because I got something.
What's up?
Yes, we are done.
Guess what time it is?
Alrighty.
Is it box time? Is it box time? Oh, it's box time.
Nice. So I cut it, to get it open nice and easy here. I'm going to go through this real quick, though. We're not going to, spend hours going through each and every book here. But again, my Comic of the Month Club package has arrived. And again, this is the blind box subscriber service that allows you to customize the books you get by going through and setting up a menu when you sign up and saying, I want these books, not those books. They also have 2 boxes. They have a current box or a collector's box, and I've opted to stick with the collector's box. And so the collector's box, the comic of the month is Justice League of America 49 from 1966.
Holy cow.
And so this is the book that I got in my box here, which is, needless to say, a fantastic little thing to find in the mail.
Seriously.
When you open up your mail, that is really super awesome. Now, of course, it's not in the greatest shape.
I was going to ask that.
It's I don't know, probably fine or very fine.
Standard.
Yeah. I mean, it's got wear on it, but still.
Copy, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, still, awesome thing to throw in there. And then, of course, they try to give you runs if they can, or as close if they can, and they give you books that you ask for. So I've got Adventures of Superman 436 and 437 here, which actually I remember buying off the newsstand way back in '88.
Nice.
And then 2 more books that I remember buying off the stand: Justice League Europe 2 and 3 here.
Oh my gosh.
And then Punisher War Journal. We got 3 copies here: 23, 25, and 26.
That was my brother's book.
Oh, that's right after Jim Lee left the book, right?
Yeah, Andy Kubert is doing that one. And then I don't know if they're messing with me or if this is to play off the Punisher thing, but I think this might be a joke at my expense. They sent me Operation Night Strike with a Rob Liefeld cover on it.
Oh, no!
I'm pretty sure they've commented before that they've seen my videos opening their boxes, so I'm pretty sure that's
nice. Shout out to
that might be a dig directly at
nice troll there, comic of the month.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That was awesome.
So yeah, like I said, I love this service. I love getting the box of stuff. They have their own, custom printed boxes now that it comes in to keep everything safe. Everything comes in bubble wrap. It's all bagged and boarded. So your stuff is not going to get messed up in the mail, and it's books that you pick out. You say, I want, because I personally go in and say, I want Superman, I want older stuff. I want Punisher books. I want, West Coast Avengers, I've said before, and you've seen me get a bunch of those in the past. Oh, yeah. So, so they go through and they do a good job. They actually have people, pulling up the database and actually going through and picking out the books to fill these boxes. So it's a personalized concierge service, if you will, of comics coming in the mail. So I love it. And again, I throw out the referral code. And again, if you go to comicofthemonth.club, comicofthemonth.club, and use the referral code DIRT, you're not going to make my car payment. I'm not getting, big bucks for this. They're not paying me huge money. I just love the service, and I definitely think it's worth checking out, and people should try it. So
right, which we do from time to time. So that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah. So again, I love it. It's always a box of happiness when it comes, and I'm
nice.
Although I don't know about this Operation Night Strike. I don't know. I gotta see now. Did Liefeld do the inside, or is he just the cover? Is this?
That's awesome.
He's just the cover. But it is from Extreme Studios. It was written by Brian Witten and penciled by Richard Horry. Inks by Jamie Mendoza. But yeah, it definitely has that Liefeld style.
Yikes!
A lot of cross hatching and there you go. The grimaces.
And awful anatomy. I got you. Oh man!
And with that, the only thing I have to show and what I just got, because I do have a box coming, but it hasn't shown up yet. And Dirt already knows what I'm about to show because I showed him earlier. But I may have gone down the road, folks.
Oh no!
For those watching the video are seeing my PlayStation Optimus Prime that I just got.
Oh no!
And I am looking for the Megatron that turns into a Genesis. I know I can get it, but I didn't want to pay that price for it. But nevertheless, and
Transformers are a hell of a drug.
Yes, yes, they are. Like I said, there's been people coming into my shop, and just like I said last week, like Chad Brower, who writes Youngblood, as a matter of fact, and a couple other things. He's also a Transformers collector, and I heard him over talking to somebody about some stuff. And then, of course, we have Dirt, who has his collection behind him, and I kept trying to resist. Which I still can, because things are expensive. But the only ones I really want, like I said earlier, was like Soundwave and a couple of the others, probably a couple of Headmasters that I saw it, but at least that's where it starts. So.
Oh yeah, it always starts out with like, oh, I'll buy one or two. I just really want
I was like, oh yeah, these are exactly, these are the famous ones I want. And it's like, and Blaster, I think this is the one I want. I don't know why I'm pointing like I already have it, but I don't. But there's a Blaster I also want. Yeah.
Just very quickly, yeah. I mean, I think Roddy and I discussed this on the show. These masterpiece Transformers are so expensive. I can get so many Marvel Legends figures for the cost of like the two masterpieces that I want, which are like the classic Megatron and Optimus Prime. So, and I see them both on some toy store websites that we frequent for high-end collectibles.
Yeah, I saw that one also. And
I see the price and I'm like, oh man, that's tough.
Yeah, like I was telling the Dirt earlier, I was like, yeah, they got that Soundwave with and or without the tapes for about the same price. And he was explaining to me the differences with the ones. I'm like, man, which obviously you're gonna get them with the tapes, because come on.
Yeah, exactly. That is some pricey stuff. Anyway,
yeah. There's also and speaking of toy stuff, there's that Bishoju Miss Marvel that just went on pre-order. 8070.
All right.
Yeah, and I think it's coming out in September or something. I was about to pull up the picture of it, but I don't have it on.
All right, fine. But everyone, open up something. Hold on.
Can't be upstaged.
Damn you. So check it out. So I actually bought something that's old because I bought it as part of a sale for a new comic book day a few weeks back. I have an order on the X-Men Marvel Legends, the latest run, which includes Disco Dazzler. So the Build-A-Figures Warlock, and I'm waiting on that. It hasn't come in yet. But in the meantime, what I did pick up, and it's an older mini bust. It's from Bowen, when Bowen was still doing Marvel stuff. It's a Captain America mini bust. And nice. I haven't taken it out yet, but it was on display outside of the box, and they just put it in the box for me. But
it's a cold cast resin.
Yes,
I think I saw that one in my shop, and I meant to take a picture of it for you. But
this is circa, I don't know what year this is, but this is definitely not recent. This is definitely, I
want to say late 90s.
Yeah, definitely late 90s. So this is on the older side. So I'm gonna add this to my mini bus collection. It's pretty cool. All right, I showed you guys something. Yeah, I got something.
And with that, I believe we can close this.
You have an ad. We have an ad.
Oh yeah. Well, I was gonna get to that. We close this out, but we are first going to get to an ad. So if you would please.
Alrighty. So today's podcast is sponsored by My Comic Shop. Go to cspn.us, then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, click on the My Comic Shop banner and order from a vast selection of new releases, back issues, vintage classics, graphic novels, and more to be delivered right to your door. Why bother schlepping to the local comic book store when you can order your books online? My Comic Shop through cspn.us. Do it today.
And now we can finally close this thing out. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to thank everyone for coming out and joining us, if not live on theclicknation.com/live, but in audio form on cspn.us or wherever other podcasting perusal places that you chose to do. As always, you can find us at CBCron. That is the Twitter page for the Twitter account for Comic Book Chronicles. You can find us individually at myself at RoddyCat on Twitter, also at News Nerds Need on Twitter, and also CBCaps on Instagram and Tumblr. Both of those sites are where I tweet out panels or post panel pictures of things that I like and enjoy. You can also find Agent 70 at Agent 70 on Twitter and Agent _70. I always do that on Twitter and Instagram. We will get him a site or something soon. We're still working on him on that one. You can also find PCN _dirt at that very name, and also Pop Culture Net on Twitter. popculturenetwork.com is his site. Go check out his stuff.
Also, Roddy, you see this tablet? This tablet is actually a sound wave.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Ooh, I bet you don't have this one.
No, I do not have that one. Actually, speaking of that, reminds me of something of in U.S.Avengers, because there was a transforming tablet in that. But anyway, we won't go into that.
Gosh.
That's neat. No, I did not see that in my perusal.
It's was it a San Diego Comic-Con?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
As an exclusive?
It was San Diego Toy Fair. I don't remember which one it was, but it was one of those, and it's actually based off a real tablet. A Chinese. There's a company called Xiaomi.
Yes.
And they have a tablet. This is actually they took the real tablet. They took a real tablet and made it into
Android tablet rather. But,
yeah. And so it's kind of funky when you actually transform it, because it did have to fit into this tiny form factor.
It's a bit flimsy.
Well, it's got a plastic cover because on the back, you have all the transformer parts, so it's got this plastic sleeve that fits over to make the back.
Okay.
So you just have the little camera hole poking out, but otherwise it, makes it look like the regular tablet.
Okay.
If you don't mind divulging, how much was that?
I don't remember.
Doesn't want to put that on public record.
That's fine.
It was free.
Yeah.
That's the ticket.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, cool. And with that, let's see. Oh, by the way, on Pop Culture Network, which I believe you said, wait, did you do that one on the show? Because you did say earlier you were doing the Transformers show that you guys are doing.
Oh, I did that one months ago when it came out.
Okay.
So you can go to popculturenetwork.com and find a video reviewing that toy if you so desire.
There you go. And our not here, Tim Dog 98. You can find him at that address on Twitter. You can also find him at the KLIQ Nation on Twitter. You can also find him being the one manning the CB Cron Twitter account, as well as going over to thekliqnation.com, where you probably are either watching this right now or finding some of our past shows and or any other articles that Tim or the rare occasions that I would write something, which I need to get better about doing over there.
Same here. Same here.
Which con season's coming up? So
exactly. I was about to say, speaking of cons, I'm actually going to stop by the 5 Points Festival this year. It is a designer toy and comic and street art and beer show in New York City. It's at Pier 36. It is this weekend. Greg Capullo and Greg Snyder are going to be making an appearance. There's an interesting array of guests at this show. I will be passing through, hopefully on both days, and we'll see how that goes.
Well, we look forward to your reporting on that. Pictures if you have them.
Sure.
And all that. Is Matt going with you, or just you?
No, at Matt Wang 97. Shout out to at Matt Wang 97 is out of town, so he is not available. But
he's on vacation or whatever.
Right. So I will be rolling through this solo dolo.
All right. Well, cool. And we also look forward to that and your
thoughts on Guardians. Yes. Finally,
next week, and then we can finally talk about all of that.
Sure. We'll be out of spoiler territory by that point, right, guys?
I would say
we can finally speak about it, freely.
Yes.
Okay.
And with that, like I said, you can find us at any podcast places of your favorite perusals. You can also find us at cfcspn.us. You can also go to shop.cspn.us, which I forgot to mention earlier, and buy stuff that keep us floating. You know what I'm saying? There are some nice things over there. Get you a nice coffee mug or whatever bag that I saw that I can't remember seeing over there that's new or something. But yeah, there's all that. And with all of that, we bring this to a close. Thank you, everybody, again. This has been the Comic Book Chronicles by the KLIQ Nation, and we are out.
Peace!